Wow, these glasses really do change my entire face. Hi, my name's Nikki. I'm the Obsessive Bookseller, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my TBR for August. I am really excited about this month. I have a bunch of all-time favorite authors on the lineup, including a new release from an all-time favorite that I cannot wait to pick up. The first on the lineup, in continuing with Project Malazan, is Worms of Blearmouth. It's book 5 in the Beauchelain and Corbel Brooch series, but if you're reading the Malazan Ultimate Reading Order, it comes after a few of their other short stories in between Erickson's Dead House Gate and Memories of Ice. That's a mouthful. So far, I have mixed feelings about these side stories. I'm not quite sure if it's worth the effort that I'm putting into reading them, but I'm such a completionist that I'm doing it anyway. I think once I finish the entire saga, I'll be able to let you know whether or not these were worth it. That will be my physical read for the month. Next, as a carryover from last month, I'll be continuing Empire's Ruin by Brian Staveley. It's the first in a continuation trilogy from his Unhewn Throne series, and so far so good. A lot of action, a lot of fun characters. My favorite element from the first trilogy was the training sequences, and I'm not so sure that's going to be included in this particular trilogy, but yeah, so far so good. I'm only about 100 pages in. This guy's world building is a lot of fun. It's kind of like a South American jungle vibe, and they ride these giant birds named kestrels, so we'll see how it goes. Next, and I mention this as a new release from one of my all-time favorite authors, Ariah by Anthony Ryan. It's the first book in a brand new series from him. I have been really good at not requesting arcs and adding obligation to myself over the last couple of weeks, month or two. And this one I decided to break protocol for. I figured, why am I working so hard at limiting what I can do if not to free myself up for when something awesome like this comes around? NetGalley had the audiobook arc available, so I snagged it. But I would say this is my most anticipated release for the year. I know absolutely nothing about it. I like to go into my books without reading a lot about them because sometimes in the little overviews, they can give spoilers for things that don't even happen until halfway through the book. And I lose interest pretty quickly if I know anything about what's going to happen. So going into this one pretty blind, and I love it. Next, in continuing with Joe Abercrombie, who I'm absolutely loving this year, A Little Hatred, the first book in his most recent trilogy, and I cannot wait for this one. So I have quite a few grimdark, heavier fantasy novels on the lineup, and I'm going to be getting married actually at the end of the month and going on a 2-week honeymoon, and I thought maybe I'd better pick something out that's not quite so dark and bleak while I'm gone. So to that end, I'm continuing Elizabeth Hayden's Ven Polyphene series. It's a middle grade one. The next one is called The Thief Queen's Daughter, and I really loved the first one. I love it when adult fantasy authors tackle young adult and middle grade books because the quality of writing and story and everything seems to be a lot more robust, and this is no exception. The first one was stellar. So I figured while I'm on a cruise ship, it would be a nicer beach read than some of the Malazan stuff. So I wanted to pack something a little more lighthearted. And finally, my nonfiction pick for the month is the Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. It's basically a collection of essays that he wrote. I have not read any of his fiction, young adult fiction stuff. I'm mostly a fan from Vlog Brothers, and every other week he does a really thoughtful video. I love how he talks about something seemingly mundane and then ends up with this really profound revelation at the end of it. I've listened to a few episodes of his podcast by the same name, and particularly the one where he talks about Canadian geese and Coca-Cola. Yeah, that was really good. So I knew I had to pick this book up the minute that it came out. And what's even cooler is the audiobook version. He narrates himself, so it's just like listening to a podcast. Yeah, can't wait. So there's my lineup this month. I am particularly excited about reading at the moment. I've been trying to do my only read one book at a time challenge for the last month or so, and I can feel how much more I'm enjoying everything that I'm picking up. And what's more, I got to every single title on last month's lineup, which is revelationary for me. I don't usually finish everything on my list. And I'm still in the middle of Empire's Ruin, but at least I got to it in the time frame that I wanted to. This next month is a little ambitious, especially with planning a wedding and everything I've got going on. So I probably won't have time to read everything, but I know that I at least have a solid lineup of completely high priorities. I have two personal mantras that I've been embracing for the past few years. Read the best books first, because you might not have a chance to read them all, and life's too short to read books you're not enjoying. One of my last videos indicated I don't feel like I've been honoring those two things this year. I really have not been focusing on the best books first, and so that is changing now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye.